R/10 with the antigen won't go down. You're losing energy already when fighting this. What kind of antigen is this?
It is the host's fault. Not taking care of us as is. Right now, it is an unknown virus. How did it get here? Call back. Call for a backup. You need to study them again using P-helper N.
There's an explosion and all the T cells and other immune cells are defeated by this mighty foe. The T cell leader's transmission device has now connected to the brain before it died down from the explosion.
An unknown virus is alive. I repeat, an unknown virus is alive. Financial fairness and virus. Training for the new, stronger and healthier T cells shall be commenced. We need to survive and help this force into plans to live. Calling Agent T for training the new recruits. I repeat, calling Agent T for training the new recruits of the T cell.
Hello, new recruits. I'm Agent T, deployed by the Control System Department and under the command of Sir Ray. I hope you are all listening closely because information is always important for us T cells. I'll give you a different set of courses throughout this training, starting with the basics. Until then, I hope you all won't give up on learning and continuously learn so we can properly do our jobs as T cells. For the first course, let's begin with studying our origin and habitat.
Arriving 3 hours in the Immunology City, I finally reached the city of Thymus, just like I've heard from my colleagues in the blog. It resembles the globe shape of a time plan.
Once thought to be a vestigial organ, the thymus resembling thyme leaves gained significance when Jacques Miller's 1961 study on neonatal mice revealed its crucial role in immunity. Removing the thymus led to a sharp decline in leukocytes and B cells, making the mice highly vulnerable to infections. Additionally, foreign skin grafts were not rejected, indicating a loss of immune self-recognition. By the mid-1960s, Miller and his team identified the thymus as the maturation site for T cells, revolutionizing our understanding of adaptive immunity.
Hi, I'm Agent T, sent by the Control Center Department. I'm currently looking for a resident named Killer T-cell.
Oh, killer T-cell. You think that they're on the other side of the block and all the killer T-cells are dead? I'm just a naive T-cell, so I can help you, sorry. You haven't been activated yet for an immune response.
Oh, it's okay. You've been more of a help for this mission. Thank you so much. So, I'm currently going to the location provided. Oh dear.
So at the time, that killer T cell were currently in a warfare between an influenza virus. So after a quick battle, they've given me a time to speak about their roles in the Immunology City, which will help you new recruits. However, I will first briefly discuss that all of us T cell are not immediately on the ground to work against an antigen because we are just called naive T cells at first.
Naive T cells, matured in the thymus but yet to encounter an antigen, continuously circulate through the blood, lymph, and secondary lymphoid tissues, increasing their chances of activation. Activation occurs when an antigen-presenting cell, APC, such as dendritic cells, macrophage, or B cells, captures, processes, and presents antigens via the major histocompatibility complex or MHC. Without an APC presenting the right MHC peptide, naive T cells keep recirculating every 12 to 24 hours. Altering an APC with a matching antigen and costimulatory ligand, they activate into either effector T cells, which fight infections immediately, or memory T cells, which provide long-term immunity. The effector T cells can be CD8 or killer T cells with MHC class 1 or CD4 T cells or T helper cells. Let's start with the killer T cells alongside its partner MHC class 1. Nagel and Doherty uncovered how killer T cells or CD8 positive T cells recognize and eliminate virus-infected cells. These cells only act if the target belongs to the body or the self and is infected. Their key partner, MHC class 1, discovered by Zinkernagel through genetic studies, acts as a frame that presents viral components for T cell detection. The structure of MHC class 1 was then revealed. It can be seen as two open halves of hot dog bun, and either side represents two helices of the MHC molecule, leaving a perfect groove for the hot dog in the middle. The hot dog is the piece of the viral peptide ready to be served for the T cell. But what about the T cell itself? How does the CD8 protein or killer T cell detect the MHC peptide complex that it carries? The T cell receptor, resembling two outstretched fingers, enables simultaneous recognition of both self and foreign peptides, ensuring effective viral detection. Serving as a bridge between innate and adaptive immunity, CD4 T cells act as a key orchestrator, working closely with MHC class II to regulate immune responses, which will be tackled on the next course. T cells activate, the body initiates an early immune response through fever, inflammation, and antibody production. When a pathogen is detected, CD4 T cells play a crucial role in coordinating the immune response. Unlike CD8 T cells, which directly destroy infected cells, CD4 T cells recognize antigens presented via MHC class II molecules and act as an immune system orchestrators. They stimulate B cells to produce antibodies, enhancing macrophage activity, increasing blood flow for faster immune cell migration, and recruit other immune defenders. Serving as a bridge between innate and adaptive immunity, CD4 T cells ensure a targeted, amplified response. After their function is complete, most undergo apoptosis, leaving behind memory T cells for long-term immunity. For the fifth course, or the last course, memory T cells differ from naive T cells in surface adhesion molecules, costimulatory receptors, and the circulation patterns, enabling quicker, more sensitive responses to antigen-presenting cells like macrophage, dendritic cells, and B cells. Unlike naive T cells, which are mainly activated by dendritic cells, memory T cells provide long-term immunity by patrolling the body residing in lymph nodes, secondary lymphoid organs, or tertiary immune tissues where past infections have occurred. They are classified into central memory T cells and effector memory T cells based on location, surface markers, and function. For the central memory T cell, which have a longer lifespan compared to effector memory T cell, they reside in secondary lymphoid tissues and can differentiate into several different effector T cells. They are the strategies of our city thymus and respond slower so they can proliferate into large numbers of effector cells if needed. They express CD62L, which is an adhesion protein, and CCR7, which is a chemokine receptor that allows for the central memory T cells to exist and stay in the secondary lymphoid organs. Finally, for the effector memory T cells residing in the tertiary tissues at infection sites, rapidly reactivating their effector functions upon antigen re-exposure. Unlike central memory T cells, they lack CCR7, enabling migration through non-lymphoid tissues. In cases of reinfection such as influenza in the lungs, these cells act as a first responders, swiftly releasing cytotoxic molecules like granzymes to induce apoptosis in infected cells and interferon gamma to enhance local immune defenses. Their rapid response curtails viral spread, aided by macrophage and dendritic cells, clearing the debris, and B cells neutralizing free-floating viruses.
So, due to cell recruits of the Immunology City, I hope you all have understood the basic courses I have given to all of you. Since we are in a hurry for all of you to have positions already here in the Immunology City, you are all will be transferred immediately to the advanced courses.
Ignorance has sent a news remark in the Immunology City. They said that there's a fungal pathogen spreading all around the host lungs. It looks similar to Mycobacterium tuberculosis.
There is still an unknown virus, now a fungal pathogen. Okay, I'll be going there.
Thank you everyone, that's the end of our training. If you want to study more, here are the references used for the course discussion.